Episode number 82 of Dynasty Decisions. We break down your Dynasty teams over on this channel. We break down if you're rebuilding, if you're contending, what your trades are looking like, what you should do with your rookie picks. That is the promise here at the Fantasy Stock Exchange. You guys can submit your teams for Dynasty Decisions by going down to the Google form down in the link in the description. If you're a Flocker or Mother Flocker tier member over on our new site, flockfantasy.com, you get to skip the line. Otherwise, you can submit a free submission. Our queue is quite long at the moment, so it'll probably be a while before we get to your team, probably like 40, 50 teams ahead of you at this point in time. But we get to the teams nonetheless the best we can. So before we get into it, Danny, how you doing?
Doing well, doing well. And yeah, just another DD episode, rolling up the sleeves, getting into the dirty work about your teams. We're less than a month away from the NFL draft, about 3 weeks away by the time we're recording this video. So a lot of these rookie picks, a lot of these, assets you guys got stored in the bank right now are going to materialize quite soon. And how do you plan to use them? How do you plan to potentially spend them on some vet players? Whatever the plans you might have for those rookie picks, we'll get through all of that in today's video. But with that being said, let's hit the intro.
All right, so the first team that we're going to tackle here is from Claire, a member of the Mother Flocker tier. Appreciate her support over there at flockfantasy.com. And of course, if you want access to all of our rankings, rookie rankings, dynasty rankings, best ball rankings, extra content there, video content-wise, we're doing the Dynasty 101 series, Fast and Furious. We got bonus articles going up live every day, not just from us, but from the other creators there at Flock Fantasy. So make sure to use the promo code FSE for 30% off. But with that being said, let's get right into the team. Jalen Hurts, Russell Wilson, Baker Mayfield is the top quarterbacks there. Miles Sanders, A.J. Dillon, Cam Akers is the top running backs. A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Treylon Burks, Elijah Moore, etc. there. Mark Andrews and David Njoku at tight end. 105, 208, 305, 408 in the rookie draft. And then looks like all of the future picks. Not a lot of trades to speak about, but we're going to break down just the team in general. What are your thoughts on the team? And then some of our questions here.
Yeah, so I mean, looking at the team, you got your anchor quarterback, Jalen Hurts, quarterback 2 with some upside there with Russell Wilson. And then, I mean, I guess the Tampa Bay quarterback lockdown between Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask, along with Colt McCoy, who, if Kyler Murray is going to miss the first few weeks of the season, could be in line to start a few games. So overall, not outside of Jalen Hurts, not too much, star tipping point value, but enough depth to get you by in season. So, and then with Jalen Hurts, he's going to give you 25 points per game. Running backs, Miles Sanders, A.J. Dillon, Cam Akers, Dearness Johnson. Very skinny at the running back position, but a ton of upside with the guys you have collected together here. Miles Sanders, new contract there with Carolina. A.J. Dillon, potentially a step up with another year of Aaron Jones getting older. And then Cam Akers, if they don't add a running back, which would be very, very unwise of the Rams to spend one of their only draft equity picks this year in the NFL draft on a running back when you had Cam Akers perform the way he did down the stretch. But nonetheless, still going to be a risk for potentially losing some work in the NFL draft. Very, very strong at wide receiver, headlined by A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson in particular there. And then at tight end, you do have a very big difference maker with Mark Andrews, along with a very, very suitable backup there with David Njoku. So overall, I think this is a very solid team. I do think that the quarterback position may let you down.
League.
Oh, it's a one quarterback league. Correct. I was just assuming he's a super flex. In a one quarterback league, then you have a very, very strong quarterback core. It's just the running backs, right? You need some to break right. But overall, I do think that this team, if things do break right, can potentially compete, especially like you said, if it's coming out of a startup draft. There's not going to be one main monster overhanging the league, if you will.
Yeah, so she said she has a lot of offers on Garrett Wilson. I'm not shocked by that. Garrett Wilson's a highly sought-after asset. Mostly people offering 2024 first plus junk or late 2023 first, which are not super valuable, obviously, in a one-quarterback league. Even in Superflex, they're not very valuable either. She said, think I'll only sell him for an overpay. I probably wouldn't even be looking to sell Garrett Wilson because I think the guy's going to probably appreciate no matter what going into this season, whether he gets Rodgers as his quarterback or not. And then she said, hoping to get a guy like Zach Charbonnet at 105. I think he'd probably need like second round draft capital and a decent landing spot for me to take him that high over, Quentin Johnston, a Zay Flowers, Josh Downs type there at 105. But I do think that's probably a pretty suitable plan there to help fill out some of your running back core. I think if you add Charbonnet, let's say he goes like second round to the Cardinals or the Chargers or something like that, you probably have enough to like be kind of like a house money-ish type of team this year. But I'm not sold on your ability to be able to take down this league because I think I'd have to imagine There's probably some better teams that went more for like win now type of assets, just from like a pure contending window standpoint.
I will rebuttal a little bit. Charbonnet at the 105, he would need a lot to break right in terms of the receivers like falling in the draft and him getting super, super good draft capital. Because realistically, like if I'm mapping it out, the 101, 102, let's just say, Bijan and a one quarterback, somebody needs Gibbs, whatever. You're going to have your pick of the litter between Gibbs and any of the three wide receivers. So as much as I like
I would take
Charbonnet,
Charbonnet over Quentin Johnston if Charbonnet goes in the second round.
but that's the thing. You would need stuff to break right because face value right now, I'm going Quentin Johnson over Zach Charbonnet pretty easily. But if Zach Charbonnet gets high second round capital on a team that could potentially command a workload right away, and let's say Quentin Johnson falls into the second round, I could be tempted then. But I just don't think there's going to be many scenarios where I can pass on Quentin Johnson for Charbonnet personally.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, to me, I think it's a tier break. For what it's worth, Todd McShay's mock draft that he dropped a couple days ago has Charbonnet going in the second round, which is definitely good to see a big time draft analyst like McShay have him going that high. And I believe also Kuiper is going to be dropping a 2-rounder this week, so that we'll get another bit of insight there. So I think that's a decent plan. Again, you're not in like the greatest situation because you're kind of like a little stuck in limbo, I would say, between being like one of the best teams in the league and being one of these like future punt for the draft capital type of teams. So I'd probably be looking to see kind of where I'm at midseason. If you can transition off of somebody and you're not doing too well, like a Miles Sanders having a great season in Carolina or something, I'm comfortable doing that. But if things are breaking right for you, I don't hate, sending your 2024 second to make a championship push either. So bit of flexibility with this team. We could probably move on to the next one here, which is from Wolfguy, also a Mother Flocker tier member, 12 team, half PPR team here. Super flex as well. Jalen Hurts, Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson is the main quarterbacks there. JT, Kenneth Walker, and then some junk at running back. Chris Godwin, DK Metcalf, Devontae Smith, Drake London, DJ Moore as a pretty fearsome 5-stack of wide receivers. Have the best 2 tight ends in Dynasty, Kyle Pitts and Mark Andrews, and then 109, 112 to boot, plus 3 2024 firsts. And then it looks like not having your third round pick in 2024. But outside of that, this is a pretty well-built team, I would say. You got 2 stud quarterbacks, 2 stud running backs, 5 great wide receivers, 2 great tight ends. This is pretty clearly like go win the championship type of team after you spend that 109 and 112. I'd probably be willing to shop those picks too.
Yeah, no, actually, like this is the type of team where if you're gonna push your chips in the middle with a team, like this team absolutely has the chance to. I wouldn't even be opposed to if somebody who's retooling wants to say, hey, listen, like that 109, that 112 is looking very, very nice to me. And I'm willing to give you Garrett Wilson. I'm willing to give you Chris Olave because I want more quantity over per se quality assets. I would be looking to buy a wide receiver. I'd be looking to buy even a running back in that type of range, late 2 to mid 3 startup range, which is about what the 109 to 112, if somebody's retooling, would be able to net you. So overall, I mean, again, you kind of said it. We don't have to spend much time because you're in such a good position from a depth standpoint, from a top end talent standpoint. Still have 3 picks in the bank upcoming for next year, along with some of these trades that you listed down here. I'll quickly get into them because sending George Pickens the 209 and Zach Ertz and getting Mark Andrews. Even if you have Kyle Pitts, like Mark Andrews' value is going to be a lot higher than that. If he's producing fantasy points at the start of the year, you could always sell high if you need to, or have the luxury of selling high on one of him or Kyle Pitts, pending the market value there. I just think this is a great savvy move.
Yeah, I think I don't often say that I would recommend selling Kyle Pitts, but given what Mark Andrews went for in your league and given that you're a contender, I wouldn't be opposed to seeing what you can get for Kyle Pitts, because if you can transition him to an equivalent value wide receiver like CeeDee Lamb or AJ Brown, or potentially even a high rookie pick that could get you 101 to Bijan Robinson or something like that, I wouldn't be opposed to doing that. If the team that is looking to retool or rebuild has like AJ Brown on it, and they are like, hey, I want Kyle Pitts as like more of a rebuilding type of asset, and I'll give you AJ Brown straight up. I think I'd probably be willing to do something like that.
Yep. No, I agree there. Next trade, David Montgomery, Khalil Herbert, and a 23-2 for Kenneth Walker and Zach Ertz. You can make this is just getting Zach Ertz back, I guess. I don't know. The guy had him for 2 seconds and then just said, nah, see you later, Zach Ertz. I don't want you anymore. But either way, I mean, Kenneth Walker in your position is going to have a lot more advantage at the running back position than either Montgomery or Khalil Herbert will. And the 23 in your spot is just kind of gravy at this point. So going out, getting that upgrade, getting Kenneth Walker, one of the better pure runners in the entire NFL, I'm all for this.
Yeah. The interesting thing for me is like, because your team is ready to compete, I would say, trying to fill out your running back core would probably be something that I'd be looking to do. At 109, you could potentially get like a Zach Charbonnet there. 112 could be like, one of these like middling running back. Like, let's say Roshan Johnson goes in like the 3rd round or something like that. He could be worth that 112. But I also wouldn't be opposed to like trading the picks that you have there at the end of the 1st round for potentially running back production. If 109 gets you, I don't know, maybe Javonte Williams or something like that. I'm trying to think of more of like a productive guy. Maybe 109 and 112 gets you like Saquon and a pick, like a Saquon in a 2nd or something like that in 2024. I don't think that'd be a terrible trade to make either.
Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, Christian McCaffrey could be worthwhile there. You're in a pretty good spot to like compete, but you're also well set up for the future. So you can afford to sacrifice a little bit of value for some production. And I think a running back actually wouldn't be a terrible buy. Maybe not quite yet, because we want to wait till we're a little closer to the season after the draft in case some things get disrupted. But for the most part, I like the position you're in. And I mean, I don't know what's going on with Drake London, but apparently he's just like free in trades. We broke down in yesterday's video on another like absolute woodshed trade of Drake London. You got Drake London for the 107 and the 207, which should never happen. I love Jordan Addison. I think 107 is probably about where he's going to fit into rookie drafts. I would easily take Drake London over him. Easily.
Yeah, and let's just say, even if that guy's doing it to get quarterback equity because he thinks Will Levis is going to be there, even at that point, I mean, Will Levis in a 2 for Drake London. Like, we just saw a rookie wide receiver post nearly a 30% target rate in his 1st year. Like, it's absolutely insane from a volume earning standpoint what Drake London was able to do as a rookie. But that's going to get skewed because, the team threw under 25 times a game. Arthur Smith doesn't want to throw the ball. Maybe he just didn't have the personnel outside of Drake London when Kyle Pitts was hurt to throw the ball. Maybe he didn't have the personnel because Marcus Mariota isn't very good at throwing the ball. They have Desmond Ridder at least for 1 year. If he improves a ton and proves he could be that franchise quarterback, that's already a good value bump in Drake London's case. But guess what? If he doesn't, if he flames out, the Falcons are going to be right back to drafting another quarterback. So I don't see any case scenario where Drake London's situation is going to get worse than it was as a rookie.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Philadelphia be the most run-heavy team in the NFL in 2021, and then they add, we have 2nd-year Devontae Smith. They add A.J. Brown to the team. Jalen Hurts takes a step forward, and they're ready to open up the offense and be a pass-heavy team. Like, that could absolutely happen with the Atlanta Falcons. Desmond Ridder was a 3rd-round rookie quarterback. Marcus Mariota isn't good. That's not a very pass-happy situation that we're talking about. We're talking about one of the teams that was the most run-heavy since like the 2005 Steelers outside of the Bears this year. Like, we're talking about an extremely run heavy team that's at least going to regress a little bit positively to like a 30 pass attempt type of team with Desmond Ridder. So yeah, Drake London, easiest buy in Dynasty at wide receiver at this point in time. He, the last thing that he asked basically is he'd like to upgrade one of his 2 like strong wide receivers, whether that's like Godwin or Metcalf or somebody like that, into potentially an elite one with using those picks. Like, if you could take Chris Godwin or DK Metcalf in the 109 or the 112 and go after CeeDee Lamb, or maybe even to the elite LSU guys, I probably don't think you could get there. But if you could get to Lamb potentially, or you could get to Waddle or Higgins or somebody like that, I don't think that's a terrible move. If Godwin in the 109 gets you to Waddle or to Lamb, I think that's a great move.
Yeah, Waddle, Lamb, Brown. Fuck, I again, it might not even cost that much in some casual leagues, but I think Garrett Wilson is well within that tier of being a 2nd-round caliber player in Dynasty startup. So, yeah, like a lot of options. This is the type of team where I get excited at this point. I mean, I've already been pretty impatient on my own part because I'm waiting. A lot of people just don't want to do a move quite yet. Want to wait to see the NFL draft, which I totally understand, because a lot of my picks right now, man, like once the NFL draft comes and 3 quarterbacks go in the top 4 and Will Levis goes in the top 15 and all these wide receivers and running backs get the adequate draft capital that we didn't quite see last year, like as high as they are valued right now, I can tell you right now, give it a month and these shits are going to be at the peak.
Yeah, I think the other range of outcomes that people aren't really talking about with this class too is like we're all kind of assuming now that the running backs are all going day 3. What if 6 running backs go in the first 3 rounds? Like suddenly the tail end of the 1st round, early 2nd round rookie picks that we talked about 2 years ago as assets to go out and acquire that right now has a little bit of a buying window at this point in time. Dude, if we get a second round Tajay Spears, a second round Roshan Johnson, a third round Chase Brown, a third round Zach Evans, a third round,
Kendra
Sean
Miller.
Tucker, those picks actually might have some value. And
Yep.
people are kind of writing them off as terrible picks. And on top of the fact that we're going to get Downs as a second round receiver, Zay Flowers will probably go in the first round. Jalen Hyde will probably go in the first round. That area of the draft might get a little bit better. So, yeah, interesting discussions on the rookie class. I think we could probably move on to the next team here, which is from Corey. So shout out to him. Great name. Mother Flocker tier member, 10 team, 10 team, full PPR, super flex. Kyler Murray, Deshaun Watson, and Daniel Jones, and Trey Lance there at quarterback. Ramondre Stevenson, Najee Harris, Isaiah Pacheco, Rashad White, Damian Harris. Pretty like zero RB type of core there. CeeDee Lamb, Drake London, Michael Pittman Jr., DJ Moore, Nico Collins, etc. And then Dolchich, Komet as like a two stack of tight ends. 204, 302, and 402 still to add to this team, and has an extra 2024 first to boot. A couple trades listed here. He said this is his third year doing Dynasty, third year of this league. He drafted to win now more than anything in the first year. Made the playoffs, but then this past year did not work out. He said he thinks he has a solid team, but not sure if he's a top contender. Hoping to make the playoffs. That late 2024 first he has belongs to the defending champion from this past season, and the other is his own. So probably two later, mid to late first. Just kind of looking for general advice. Is this a contender? Obviously, we don't know the rest of your teams in this league. I don't know if the guy that won this year has a monster, but I would say, generally speaking, looking at this roster, it's a 10-team league. I would say you're probably like the third to fifth best team in the league. I wouldn't say you're the best team in the league, but I wouldn't say you're a team that I would say like absolutely needs to rebuild also.
Yeah, no, I would probably agree with that. You're kind of in middle ground right now. I just personally think in a 10-team league, I would like to see more firepower at the top. I mean, like you got, some firepower pieces, obviously, especially with those top two quarterbacks, especially with CeeDee Lamb in particular. But I want to see at least one more like elite advantage, like whether it was a Mark Andrews at tight end, whether it was, a Christian McCaffrey at running back, to feel comfortable calling you an upper echelon contender. So for now, I'd say you're probably around, in a 10-team league, maybe in that 6-4 seed area. But again, if you make some savvy moves this offseason, I could see you working in that top 3 area if you make the right moves, like I said.
Yeah, I mean, looking at your roster, there's a couple glaring like sell candidates that I would try and leverage into long-term draft capital, maybe load up in 2024 or whatever the case is, because Daniel Jones is very much on the up right now, and you don't really need him. You can hold Kyler and Watson as your top quarterbacks. Lance is a good QB3 to have in this kind of format, even though I would probably sell him as well, as I talked about in the Burning Dynasty questions. Ramondre Stevenson's a risky asset to hold right now. He's a 4th-round running back. We got a report today that the Patriots are doing their due diligence on Bijan Robinson. If Bijan goes 14th overall to the Patriots, Ramondre's nuked. Like his value is going to be in the toilet. So he'd be the type of guy. Same goes for Pacheco and Rashad White and Najee Harris. All those guys could see a rookie added to their backfield. So I'd be looking to potentially see what you can get for those guys. If nobody's giving you any value, by all means, hold them. But I think given you said that you drafted a contender, I'd imagine most of the teams in your league are probably redraft-centric players. You should be able to get some good value for the players that I just named. Your wide receiver core, you probably don't need to touch very much. Tight end cores, got some young guys and some upside, but I would consider reworking your quarterback core and your running back core in this league format. Maybe you can transition that into an elite asset. Let's say somebody who's a contender will give you, a great wide receiver like Chris Olave or something for Daniel Jones and Ramondre Stevenson. I would make a move like that. That gives you a little bit more long-term flexibility. If you can't compete this year, at least you'll be better set up for the future.
Yeah, no, I do agree with you there. Trying to get off of, your dangerous running backs. You mentioned Ramondre Stevenson, Gallic, Rashad White. I think Pacheco is kind of more solidified in his role, but again, I do think his market value, given the playoff run, might be able to net you more than I think he'll be worth.
He's more valuable than Rashad White, and you probably wouldn't think that. But in the open market, I bet you would get more for Pacheco than Rashad White, just given that he plays for the Chiefs. And also, there's scenarios where his value could get nuked as well. Like if Bijan starts to slide, who says that the Chiefs don't go up and trade for him? If Gibbs is there at 31, who's to say that they don't add him? And even though that would keep Pacheco's role intact, adding Jahmyr Gibbs to that backfield would definitely impact his market value.
Well, the other thing too that I don't think is reported quite often is how many times inside the 5-yard line we see the Chiefs running like a gimmicky pass play to their running back, to their tight end, whatever the case may be.
We saw it like 3 times in the Super Bowl alone.
Like you mentioned Bijan Robinson at the end of the first. Obviously, they can make a move up, trade for him. That's already going to give you flexibility inside the 5 to be able to run the ball. What about a guy like Zach Charbonnet at the end of the second round for the Chiefs? I don't think that's been talked about quite a lot because everybody's, associating Gibbs because he's kind of that McKinnon type of role. But if you have a receiving back already in town, getting that big power back to play the role that you assumed CH would be able to handle, especially in his first year, I believe that opening night game, he had 5 carries inside the 5, didn't score on any one of them. I'm telling you right now, you give Zach Charbonnet 5 carries inside the 5, he's scoring on the second carry.
Yeah, and I mean, theoretically, Pacheco would fill that role, but you never know how NFL teams are going to view players, right? If they view Charbonnet as like a really second round talent, he's there at the end of the second round, they'll draft him and figure shit out later. So some of the trades that he has listed here, how he ended up getting Rachaad White was selling Austin Eckler. And he got Rachaad White and a 2023 first, which eventually became the 106. I think that's a pretty good return for a guy like Austin Eckler. It's 10-team super flex. 106 is probably still get you at least Gibbs or JSN or potentially Richardson or Bryce or somebody like that would slide, given that it's a 10-team and QBs might have a little bit less value. So I think that was a great move. And then flipping 106, 110 for Deshaun Watson in the 309, also a great move. I think you're giving up, like I said, JSN, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jordan Addison type of asset, plus, later round pick. Maybe you get QJ or Will Levis there or Zach Charbonnet, but for the most part, that's, worst case scenario, like a Zay Flowers. For a solidified quarterback like Watson, I think that was a great move.
Yep. No, I agree there. And then the final move here, Elijah Moore, the 202 and the 309 for DJ Moore in the 302. It's probably about fair market value, but I don't know, honestly. I think I would just rather have the second round equity to be able to get, Josh Downs or Zay Flowers, maybe.
Yeah, I would say I honestly really don't have a dog in that fight. I think that's probably about a fair deal.
Agreed.
He also said he ended up trading his own first last year, which became the 102, which is definitely kind of devastating for you just from a value perspective, for Austin Eckler. We see this all the time, right? You traded your own first, thinking it's gonna be a late first, you're gonna make a championship run, and it became the 102. So that trade didn't age well, but I think you at least made up for it a little bit with the way that you sold Austin Eckler to a guy that was making a championship push as a contender. So you live and you learn. We've all made trades like that.
100%.
I've definitely done it early in my Dynasty experience. I know Danny's probably done it as well. But I would say overall with this team, like I said, make those incremental moves at quarterback and running back if you can. But for the most part, I think this is probably like like said, best case scenario, things break right. You're the third or fourth best team in the league, which typically leans me on the side of I would like to see if I can make some moves to make my team better in the long term. So before we get into the next team, as always, we got to hear a word from Mint Mobile, and you guys will be hearing that message right now.
Lads, today I'm proud to introduce our new partner of the Fantasy Stock Exchange, Mint Mobile. With the cost of everything rising, I've been really focused on saving money where I can, which is why I'm super excited to share something you can do right now to save back on your wireless coverage. You might already know Mint Mobile from the Ryan Reynolds commercials, but let me tell you quickly how awesome their service is. Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for as low as $15 a month, and you don't have to sacrifice on any coverage, speed, or data. They're built on the nation's largest 5G network and keep costs low because they sell direct to you online. They cut out the retail stores and the salespeople. Thankfully, switching to Mint is also super easy. Thanks to their digital eSIM cards, you guys can sign up and activate immediately right on your phone from the comfort of your home. Keep your current device and phone number and easily switch services. And if your phone isn't eSIM compatible, Mint will ship you a new SIM card free of charge. A simple, fast, and affordable way to get the quality wireless coverage. Mint Mobile is the easiest way to save. Whatever you choose to use your savings on now is totally up to you. Now going to our link in the description of this video at mintmobile.com/fantasy-stock-exchange and get premium wireless for as low as $15 a month. Make the switch today and start saving money without sacrificing any quality. We appreciate Mint Mobile for partnering with us for today's video and giving all of us access to the most affordable wireless coverage. And speaking of the video, let's get right back to it.
All right, so big shout out to Mint Mobile. Again, check out the link down below in the description to get an exclusive offer from our partners over there. Tyler E., next team that we're going to cover here, Mother Flocker tier, 10-team, 1 PPR, Super Flex League, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, dude. I already don't want to cover this team just reading that. Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Garrett Wilson, Drake London. I mean, your running back core isn't very good with Javonte, Rachaad White, but I've definitely seen worse. You also somehow have Kyle Pitts, the 101, 104, 105. Needless to say, I don't think we're going to spend very much time on your team, Tyler. I know you're a Mother Flocker tier member, and you definitely want to get some feedback, but I have never built a team this good. So I really don't want to cover it out of pure jealousy.
Hey, Tyler, shame on you for not having Brees Hall, Kenneth Walker, Travis Etienne, Christian McCaffrey on the team. Oh, no. You also have the 101, so you're just going to be adding Bijan.
Yeah, I mean, dude, this team is insane. He says tight ends are basically roster fillers until the rookie draft. He'll probably be dropping a bunch of them. He said, I'm wondering if I should go after another running back besides just drafting Bijan. I mean, given the strength of your team, yeah, you should probably draft Jameer Gibbs with the
Or
105. I
take
probably would still draft a quarterback, though, at 104. Like, you don't need one, but you're just collecting value at this point. You can use that quarterback to upgrade to a potentially another lead asset if you want to. You can take that 104 Anthony Richardson or whoever ends up being and go out and trade straight up for Brees Hall or something.
Yeah, and you know what's funny is that when I see a team in this situation, right? By the way, I'm assuming he doesn't have either of his 24 or 25 first, and he traded it for someone else's because he's got 2 early projected future firsts as well.
Ridiculous.
Regardless, right? This would be the type of team where I would say, hey, listen, take your 104, take your 105, take another piece and go after Chase or Jefferson, but you just have both of them on the roster. So, I mean, that's not even an issue for you, right? Obviously, 101, you're going to take Bijan Robinson. Like, unless somebody's giving you a fucking 4 or
No,
5
there's zero
value,
chance
like,
I would trade Bijan with a team like this. Zero chance.
that's what I'm saying. Like, we talk about value to the point where realistically, you add Bijan to this team, you're winning the fucking championship. Like, let's be honest here. Bijan Robinson can be your pick at 101 pretty easily. The 104 and the 105, I'm looking to leverage to see if you can buy at least one win now running back. Like, we're talking about, like, if somebody's willing to sell you Christian McCaffrey for the 104, I wouldn't advocate for paying the 104 for Christian McCaffrey. But in your situation, I think you add Christian McCaffrey and you beat everybody every single week by 35 points.
Yeah, or you could take, I mean, you don't need Trey Lance on this team at all. You could take Trey Lance in the 105 to somebody that's in need of quarterback help or is trying to rebuild and sell them for Jonathan Taylor or something like that and go out and win your championship. I don't really want to spend any more time on this team. Let's get into the trade real quick and then we'll move on to the next one. Sent away Saquon, Dalton Schultz, and Kenny Pickett. Like Kyler Murray alone is enough to win this trade, let alone getting a second and a mid first in 2025 and the 208. Again, woodshed deal. You took this guy to the woodshed. I would recommend trading more in a league like this because clearly your league mates have no fucking idea what they're doing. So I would say that you're in a great spot. Spend your picks. Don't spend your picks. You could nuke the 104 and the 105 and you'd still be the best team in your league by a landslide. Sacrifice value would be my recommendation. Go out, like Danny said, I would not recommend trading the 104 for Christian McCaffrey, but you can do it if you want it. Like, it doesn't matter for you at this point. Once you add Bijan to this team, your really only weaknesses are not having an elite stable of running backs because you already have an elite stable of wide receivers. If you wanted to sell the 105 straight up for a win now wide receiver like Tyreek Hill, go ahead and do it because he would add, you have 3 flexes and 3 wide receiver spots in this league. If you have a 3 stack of Chase, Jefferson, Tyreek as your top 3 with Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Pittman as your flex spots, you're going to be laughing all the way to the bank when you win this league. So let's move on to the next team. We don't need to spend any more time on this one.
Collin,
what's up?
I was going to say Corey is sick right now just looking at that level of value accumulated.
I don't know how many orphans are in your league, but there's about to be more after this season. So Collin said he's a Mother Flocker tier member as well. 10-team, half PPR, 6 point per passing touchdown league. Not super flex, though. So Daniel Jones, Jared Goff, Desmond Ridder, probably a fine quarterback core, give or take. B-Rob, Damian Harris, bunch of Jags at running back there. Devontae Smith, Michael Pittman, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Drake London, Traylon Burks. So very young, very talented wide receiver core. Tight ends, mainly David Njoku there. 103 and 104, 1 quarterback league. So you're going to miss out on Bijan and probably JSN as well. But then you have 4 firsts by the looks of it in 2024, 3 firsts in 2025, a couple extra 2s there. So very young stable of assets here. I would say this is one of those productive struggles that you start to feel good about after you have some guys like Garrett Wilson. Like, you probably had a lot of picks last year and you hit on most of them by the looks of it.
Absolutely right. Like, this team is very well built. I would say, like, the main roster weaknesses right now, the strengths are wide receiver and tight end. The weaknesses are going to be, an elite difference maker at quarterback, especially in a 1 quarterback league. Daniel Jones should be a fine, top 15, maybe even a fringe top 12 level option, but it's not like a Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, guy like that. So that would be my critique. Then obviously running backs, you're going to be adding within the next couple of years, the 103, the 104, fucking all those picks next year, all those picks in 2025. I wouldn't be shocked if by 2024 you're looking at a running back core of let's say, Jahmyr Gibbs, Raheem Sanders, Braylon Allen added to this team.
Yeah, exactly. He basically asked, should I go out and spend some of these picks on some players? This is the mistake in the crossroads we talk about all the time.
Yeah.
Once you build out a frame like this, you start to get excited and you want to make
Yeah.
moves, right? Like it's enticing, man. Like you want to be like, oh, I have 4 ones next year. I can go buy JT. I can go buy Brees Hall. I can go buy Kenneth Walker, and we're off and running here. I mean, you've done a great job of hitting on your rookie picks. I would recommend that you don't probably do that. Just wait till 2024 so that you can dominate this league. If you're really in the need to make trades, by all means, see if there's a buy low opportunity on like JT, for example, or maybe even somebody else, Brees Hall, because he's coming off of an ACL tear. But for the most part, 103 and 104, like Danny said, you probably add Jahmyr Gibbs, Jordan Addison with those picks, or somebody else, whatever the case is, sell one of them for a productive veteran or something like that. For the most part, you're going to tank your own 2024 first. Your goal next year is to get Travion Henderson or Marvin Harrison to add to this team. And then you can fill out the rest of your running back core. 2024, I would say, given like early looks at this point in time, we'll probably have more Gibbs and Charbonnet caliber assets in it at running back. You're not going to see a Bijan, but you're going to see a lot more Gibbs and Charbonnet caliber running backs in next year's class than you will in this year's class. So I would say if you can fill out a couple second and third round running backs next year, then you're going to be off and running with this team because your wide receiver core is probably the best in your league already. Tight end core is pretty decent with David Njoku. Maybe you add some depth tight ends at 307 and 404. We got a good deep tight end class this year to do that. And then you also have a bunch of 2s next year and a couple firsts. So you could potentially add Bowers to this team too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We'll look through a few of these trades as well. Sent the 204 for Njoku and the 307. I would rather Njoku than the 204. So this is a pretty easy move in my opinion. I'm assuming you agree.
Yeah. And a one quarterback 204 is not that valuable for sure.
Yeah. Next deal sent the 107, the 110, and a 2024 mid projected first for the 104 and an early projected second. I probably would have just held in this spot. Knowing your running back core, realistically, 104 could net you a Jahmyr Gibbs and it could, get you into a house money situation this upcoming year. But I mean, if that's a mid projected first, I wouldn't be shocked if the value of that ends up being equivalent to the 104. Right. So if we're looking at it, right, a mid projected first in a 10-team league, you're looking at about the 104 to the 106 there anyway. So then adding on the 107 and the 110 in this spot, too rich for my blood. But again, if you view, I guess, in your own tier that the top 4 are clear of everyone else and you wanted to make sure you get it, I understand. But I personally just wouldn't have made this move. However, everything I said about that move, you end up getting a lot of value in this upcoming move. Dallas Goedert in a late projected 24 for Garrett Wilson in an early projected second. I don't know what that guy was doing, but I mean, if you told me that you sent a late projected first Dallas Goedert in the second for Garrett Wilson, especially in a one quarterback league, I would have thought that was fair value. So I don't know how you finagled the second off of his side and then got it on your side, but give me Garrett Wilson all day, every day. I don't even have to look at it even more.
Yeah, that's a fleece, man. There's no way that should ever happen. But yeah, like you said, that second trade to me, you kind of panicked a little bit and you were like, I don't have any running backs on my team. I need to secure Jahmyr Gibbs. I wouldn't have made that move. You spend that 107 on a Charbonnet type, you spend that 110 on a Zay Flowers type, you have another 2024 first to work with, and you fill out your running back core in 2024 is probably what I would have done instead of what you did. But give or take, you made up for it in that last trade, like Danny said. So I think you're in a great spot. Like I said, the way I would handle this is just fill out your team with rookie picks in 2024, and you're probably going to be house money in 2024, dominant by 2025. So next team here, Andrew S.'s team, a Flocker member as well, 12-team, Superflex League, half PPR with a 0.5 tight end premium team there. Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, Desmond Ridder, etc. Not a whole lot going on at running back. A lot of 0 RB guys, A.J. Dillon, Tyler Algier, Khalil Herbert, Damian Harris, Elijah Mitchell types. And then Tyler Lockett, Sky Moore, so pretty weak at wide receiver there, but he does have Kyle Pitts and David Njoku as his top tight ends. Does not have any of his picks in 2023, which is not ideal for sure. And then in 2024, looks like all of his picks. Same goes for 2025. So it's a 6 point per passing touchdown, 0.1 per rush attempt, 0.25 RB premium. So it looks like very valuable running back type of scoring in this type of format. He said he just finished a dispersal draft with 3 others, 4 total. And he said he wanted to get 2 top quarterbacks, some upside pieces given the top 6 or given the 6 point per passing touchdown format. And he said he also traded away other picks to get Pitts since it's a tight end premium. He said murdered his depth in the process, but he doesn't regret it. Almost no middling wide receivers available, and felt running backs were being undervalued, so he ended up with too many. So what are your thoughts on how he built this team, given the chaotic shit that happened, basically?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, not a great spot because you picked up from the dispersal. Yeah, no, it's tough. At least you got your two elite quarterbacks here that you can build around. You got your elite Kyle Pitts that you said you traded up for. And with the tight end premium, I think that's fine. You have your building blocks on this team. You just got a lot of work to do because I'm telling you right now, anybody else not named Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, Kyle Pitts on this roster is getting shipped off. Like I'll make that quite apparent. James Cook, Khalil Herbert, Tyler Algier, AJ Dillon, Damien Harris, so all those running backs, fucking like what, 20 of them right there. Tyler Lockett, Sky Moore, any value you can get, even if you have to parlay fucking 7 of them to try to get a first round pick. Like I'm doing it. Generally speaking, your goals is quite literally by the end of the offseason should be fielding a roster of just Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, and Kyle Pitts, to be honest.
Yeah, the difficult thing about this running back core is, given the scoring settings, you're going to fall ass backwards into like 7 wins if you don't sell some of these guys, because Khalil Herbert is going to have weeks, Tyler Algier is going to have weeks, AJ Dillon's going to have weeks, Damien Harris is going to have weeks, Elijah Mitchell is going to have weeks. So if they're not valued now by your league mates, then maybe closer to the season they start to get valued. We get some camp hype that Damien Harris is going to get like 300 carries or something with Buffalo. Sell them. Same goes for AJ Dillon. If Aaron Jones suffers like a training camp injury, sell him. Like Tyler Algier, if they don't draft anybody or fall in the NFL draft, sell him. Like you want to sell pretty much everybody in the core. It's going to be difficult. Like you said, people were undervaluing running backs in your league, which kind of gives us insight on your league market, that it's going to be difficult to sell those guys. But even if you have to package a couple together to get 1 first-round pick, even if you have to package Tyler Algier, Tyler Lockett, and David Njoku to get Chris Olave or 1 good wide receiver, I would do it 100%. So for me, you created a lot of work for yourself, unfortunately, but it's salvageable. You have some valuable pieces, especially once we get to the season. People are going to value those running backs a little bit more highly by then.
Yeah, and I'll tell you right now, let's just say you full on strip the team down. You only have Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, and Kyle Pitts, which, by the way, Kyler Murray not playing to start 23 apparently, or potentially, is going to help you out in your tanking effort. If you get the 101 in 2024 and somebody's willing to offer the Godfather, because let's be real, this time next year, I'm setting the over-under at Caleb Williams' Dynasty ADP at like 7.5, 8.5. Like I don't think
the under, or I would take the like lower on that. I think he'll be like 5th or 6th off the board.
Like, and that's where I would personally rank him, right? I would rank him even potentially higher than that, but I just think, people might be a little bit, he's just the rookie. Like we see it every fucking year, right? But like, regardless, you're getting a top 7, top 8 overall asset at the guarantee if that pick ends up 101. You may be able to get someone to pay you 4+ first, 4.5+ first. And in this type of situation with your team, if you can get that type of Godfather and rebuild the flexes and you still have Allen, Murray, Kyle Pitts anchoring the onesies, this team by 2024, or not 2024, but 2025 maybe, if you get the proper equity for it, picks, players, whatever the package may be, I think you can win now by then. But like, you have to make sure you get the 101. If you don't get the 101, you're losing out on so much value. Like I'm telling you right now, even if that picks the 104, the difference between Caleb Williams versus the 104, let's say that's, Travion Henderson, or, I think Drake May, Marvin Harrison are going to be
QB3 potentially.
QB3, running back 1, whatever's available there. Like it's probably going to be excess of like 2.5 to 3 first, the difference of value.
Yeah, exactly. So even if you got to sell Herbert for a 2025 second or something like that, it's worth it to get that production off of your team. I would aim for 2025 picks if I was in your position, because if your league is not valuing running backs, that tells me that they're a relatively sharp room and they probably know that 2024 is a good class. So I would aim for 2025 picks with Algier, Dillon, Harris, Mitchell, all those types of dudes, Lockett, Renfro, Sky Moore, whoever's producing points for your team. So I'd probably be looking to sell off those picks or sell off those players for 2025 picks. Make sure you get the 101. If you wanted to just hold Caleb Williams, you could always do that and sell Kyler Murray instead. That would also make some sense. So a lot of work to do, but I think you can manage. Let's move on to the next team here, which is from Tyler S. A free submission here at the end of the video. 12 team, 1 PPR. a half-point tight end premium, a super flex league, Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson. That's pretty much all you need there. Nobody really to speak of at running back outside of Mitchell and Brian Robinson and Rashad White. Justin Jefferson, Jalen Waddle, Garrett Wilson, Brandon Ayuk, and Rashad Bateman's a pretty solid 5-stack of wide receivers, though. And then George Kittle is your main tight end. Does not have his 1 in either of the next 2 draft classes. Has an extra 2 this year, extra 3 in 2023 as well. So not ideal that you don't have your first round picks. He does have a trade that he made here listed as well. He basically wants to know what he should do to address the running back position because he doesn't have his first rounders. And also any other moves that we think he should make. He said his league has a 10-round draft with the rookies / free agents and cut down to 20 players at
March 31st.
March 31st, which is already passed now at this point in time. So with this team, it's tough because you're not going to really be able to fill out your running back core because you don't have your picks, right? So you're basically reliant on 204, 207, 302, 308, you being able to hit on huge big time like Damian Pierce, Ramondre Stevenson, Tyler Algier types for this past year's class and the recent year's classes. So tough situation. What are you looking to do at the 204, 207 type of area?
You might have to buy veterans, and I wouldn't advocate for that, but like in your spot, because you're so reliant on this team winning now, no picks in the first this year, no picks in the first next year. And with a running back core that needs to be filled out if you want to compete, I get it. 95% of cases we say you don't want to fill your lineup right now. But in your spot, because you don't have the draft capital to be able to leverage at a further date, I would look to see what type of value, again, even if it's after the NFL draft, so you have more certainty on some spots. But like, if you have to buy a fucking 28-year-old Aaron Jones and it costs you the 204 hypothetically, or maybe you have to add like a 3 on that, like, you have to make these type of moves. And I wouldn't advocate for making these moves in general. But in your spot, like you said, you have the quarterbacks, you have the wide receivers, you have a difference maker at tight end. You need that cheap, age-adjusted production right now. Like, you can't say, oh, I want the luxury of buying a 23-year-old Jonathan Taylor. I want the luxury of buying a 21-year-old Breece Hall. Like, you're going to have to take some of these old farts and rely on their production because you don't have your picks.
Yeah, or risky young guys like J.K. Dobbins or Cam Akers or somebody like that. Yeah. It's tough, man. You're in a difficult spot at this point in time, I would say. Yep. You're either going to be buying risk or you're going to be buying age production, like Derrick Henry or like, Nick Chubb or Austin Eckler or somebody like that, or Dalvin Cook or Aaron Jones or somebody. So, I mean, I would shop the market on those guys. If somebody's trying to rebuild and they have just Nick Chubb sitting on their roster, who knows? Maybe 204 is all you need to pay for it, or 204 and 308 is all you need to pay for it. And I'd probably be comfortable giving that up for a guy like Nick Chubb in your situation. Like Danny said, not typically guys that we're going to recommend buying, but you're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place right now where you can't really build out a running back core even in 2024 because you don't have your first that year either. So, and I'm not in the business of selling my elite assets like Justin Jefferson, Garrett Wilson, Jalen Waddle, Jalen Hurts, or Lamar Jackson. I'm probably going to hold those guys and figure out. RBs are generally an easy thing to spot breakout candidates for. Maybe you can get a 302 gets you James Conner or something that can give you RB2 production this year or something. So you're going to have to be savvy with running back moves from like a redraft perspective, who has a good volume outlook and that kind of thing. So it's possible that you could win with this team if you're able to nail a couple good running back trades, but that's pretty much what I'm looking to do.
Yep. No, I fully agree. Other than that, you just kind of say here, any other moves that I should make? It's just going after some running backs. So overall, I think you pretty much know what you need to do now. Just try to get some running backs to compete, even if, it's not the most ideal type of running back you'll be getting. Like, you have to try to compete with this team. You already kind of made that bet on yourself, giving up the 23, giving up the 2024 ones. So just go to try to win the championship now, and hopefully it pays off for you.
Yeah, he said Ron actually told him to make this next trade. Kyler Murray and a 2024 first for Lamar Jackson, a 302. At face value, that's a good trade. I think Kyler Murray and Lamar Jackson, there's a distinct difference between those two guys. However, given where your team was at, having Kyler not play for you this year wouldn't have been the worst thing in the world. And he says late 2024 first. I'm assuming that's your first that you gave up. So to me, holding Kyler Murray and having my own first to fill out a running back next year might have actually been a little bit better for your team's position. But at face value, I agree. The trade probably favors the Lamar Jackson side. But in your team situation, I think I might have taken the Kyler side.
Yeah, no, again, like I'd probably agree. Like obviously if Kyler was healthy, like you could argue Kyler and Lamar being, similar area given the rushing ability, but with the injury, obviously you have to pay the tax of getting the 302 for the late first there, but yeah, I think again, maybe you wanted to compete. It's tough to just say, "Oh, I don't want to," try to win the championship in a year. But hypothetically, you had Kyler Murray going into 2024 season. Let's just say, with Kyler not playing, with the running backs not giving you some production, like you had it as a late 2024 first. But if Kyler wasn't playing, like that pick might have ended up being, the 105, the 106. And then at that point, like you're adding a Raheem Sanders or you're adding, a Travion Henderson or you're adding a Donovan Edwards, a Will Shipley, whatever running back pick of your fucking litter at that point in next year's draft. So I probably would have went that route, but with the route that you've currently taken because you've made the move, cheap old running backs are your best friend. And again, I want to throw up just by saying those words.
Yeah, yeah. So a little bit of a rock and a hard place type of team, difficult decisions that we got to make. We had one more team on the docket, but we're getting a little bit long with this one. So we'll probably close it out and then get to that team on the next video. So appreciate you guys for sticking around to the end. If you did, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new around here. Again, if you want access to these Dynasty Decisions videos, you want us to cover your team, go ahead and submit your team down below. Linked in the description is the Google form that you can do that. Again, flockers and mother flockers will skip the line and get first priority. So if you want to get your team covered right away, right before your rookie draft or before the NFL draft, that is the best way of doing so. You can sign up over on flockfantasy.com and use the promo code FSE. Make sure you use the promo code FSE so we know that you did. And 30% off all annual packages. You get a 2-day free trial to see all the value before you buy. So definitely check that out. Link down below in the description as well. But with that being said, peace out, and we'll talk to you soon.